What's up, everybody? This is Willpower Astrology, and right now I'm going to be talking about the upcoming transit of the North Node through the sign of Taurus. So, the North Node is where the lunar orbit crosses the Earth's orbit around the sun. So, the moon is spinning around the Earth, and it crosses the Earth in front and crosses the Earth in back. Where it crosses in front is the North Node, and where it crosses in back on the other side is the South Node. So, what this means astrologically is if like the north node in your chart is what you don't know, it's what you're here in this life to learn, it's what you're here to kind of develop, and your south node would be your comfort zone. It's what you already know or what you have already developed through the course of past lives. So, the north node in Taurus has to do with establishing your own boundaries, has to do with growing kind of your own garden. It has to do with kind of getting away from a Scorpio involvement or Scorpio entanglement with others. Also, Scorpio is a lot about release. So a Taurus North Node is a lot about building. We know how to tear stuff down with the Scorpio South Node. We know how to make changes with the Scorpio South Node. With a Taurus North Node, it's harder to stick it out, to build, to not kind of cut and run and burn your bridges along the way. So the North Node in Taurus transit. What I'm going to talk about is this. Let's first of all talk about the dates of Taurus North Node. So this is going to back up. We've been the North Node in Gemini since May of 2020, and right now I'm bringing this up because the eclipses are shifting. The full moon on November 19th is going to be a solar eclipse in the sign of Taurus. So this is shifting the eclipses, and then the North Node's going to shift, and it'll be that way until summer of 23. So full moon eclipse in Taurus, November 19th. And then on January 18th of 2022, so in a couple months, January 18th, the North Node will go backwards from Gemini into Taurus, and it'll be there until July 17th of 2023. So this is the upcoming one, January of 22 to July of 23. The last one was April 13th, 2003 to December 26th, 2004. The previous one was September 11th of 84 to April 6th of 86. The previous one was February 19th of 66 to August 19th of 67. The previous one was August 2nd of 47 to January 25th of 49. The previous one was December 28th of 1928 to July 7th of 1930. That's a big one right there for me. And then previous one, March 23rd, 2010 to December 7th of 2011. So as I was looking this up, I'm just going to talk about some of the overall themes that I kind of saw on the, history side. First of all, we're going from an age of information or age of misinformation. So moving from the North Node of Gemini back to the North Node of Taurus. I feel like there's a lot of things flying around in the air, and in the North Node of Taurus, we want things to be definite. We want it to be this thing. So there's a lot of medical and scientific technological breakthroughs at this time. Like things are created. Like Taurus, the first Earth sign, is about the physical realm, and it's about like what we do. We do a thing, we make a thing. So lots of breakthroughs kind of happening during the North Node in Taurus. Also lots of, let's see what I wrote here. It's kind of, my notes are kind of messy. We've got lots of different treaties, different like countries being formed, or countries getting their independence from other countries. Got lots of like natural disasters happening. Like a bunch, like, it would be like this earthquake. I was looking up, going backwards in these time sets, and it was like this earthquake was the worst, craziest earthquake in human history. And then you go back and it's like up until this time, this was the worst, craziest earthquakes. There was like lots of earthquakes and fires and typhoons. You know what I mean? There's lots of big weather events. So like Earth sign Taurus, Earth. Like let's look at that. Let's see. Oh, lots of labor. There's lots of strikes happening during the North Node of Taurus, and there's also a lot of like human rights and civil rights advances during this time. So let's kind of go. I'll just kind of break this down really quick, going back. Um, so first of all, I don't know about first of all. Let's see. Also, lots of space shuttle explosions. Get into that. That's weird. Um, Okay, so I'm like as a shorthand, I was there for the early 2000s, so I kind of look at it like this: North Node in Cancer, we had 9/11. North Node in Gemini, we had misinformation, we had Patriot Act, we had going to war in Iraq, we had all this stuff happen. Um, and then when the North Node shifts into Taurus in 2003, we have mission accomplished. We did it. You know, so there's also I've found in general a lot of memorialization and like lots of nostalgia, lots of calling back, lots of giving awards. We'll get into that. So going back from the 80s, so in the 84 to 86 range. Oh, this is another thing I saw that was big too. So in 03, we're getting the Human Genome Project was completed. And then going back to the previous 80s, we're just getting into like DNA profiling, DNA fingerprinting, that type of stuff. So lots of genetics, um, sciencey crap. It's very interesting. So going back to the 80s, we have like AIDS being identified as Pluto is shifting into Scorpio, and we're getting this DNA profiling. We're getting this stuff coming out. Um, we have the coal miner strike in England, which was a huge deal. We have banks failing in the U.S. Windows computers was put out. Nintendo's put out at this time. There was New Coke put out this time. There's like lots of, also like lots of American destabilization of South American regions. You know what I mean? Where like in the 80s, I kind of see the U.S. as doing just a lot of bad things in the South Americans. So in the 2000s we're in Iraq. In the 80s we're like fucking around down in South America. Going back to the 60s, we're in the Vietnam War, and this is also when the civil rights movement was happening. So I think that's very, this time period of North Node and Taurus happening in February of 66 to August of 67. There's like historical parallels. We're in, the Civil Rights Act, Civil Rights Movement Part 2, Act 2. Where things are emerging, developing now. So within this time, the Freedom of Information Act was established. There were riots in Lansing. There was stuff going on in Ireland with the Irish Republican Army. They got war declared on. Color TV came out at this time. Star Trek. Black Panthers were established at this time. What does that say? Oh, Kwanzaa was established at this time. Loving versus Virginia, which was a Supreme Court case, I believe, that said that interracial marriage could not be called illegal. So, like, lots of civil rights things happening during this time, and also the Cultural Revolution in China, which is huge. There's going to be, I think, in the upcoming time of North Node and Taurus, there's going to be lots of talk about communism and worth, value, things of this nature. So going back to the 40s, oh man, I wrote down a bunch of stuff that I kind of can't even think of right now. We have the House Un-American Activities Committee blacklist communists. The National Security Act put into place. I can't read my handwriting. What did I write? Oh, Israel was created at this time. We have the Arab-Israeli War. The Fair Deal in America. Shelley versus Kramer it made it illegal to bar black people from having housing. So again, civil rights movements happening in the 40s. Got Indian independence from Britain at this time, and then they're also like dividing the borders. That's also a very Taurus thing. This is mine. This is my stuff. This is my borders. It's my boundaries. Israel being created at this time is huge. I wrote down Stardust. that doesn't mean anything to me right now, but I know that means something crazy. Stardust. It's crazy. Look it up. So going back to the 20s, this is of course the stock market crash leading to the Great Depression. So as I've been talking about it, uh, North Node of Cancer is a crisis, American crisis. North Node in Gemini is misinformation. North Node in Taurus is where it's like the buck stops here. You know what I mean? North Node in Taurus is where you got to pay the piper. So I'm predicting that we could even still be having, with supply chain, with shortages, it could be another, big dip of the stock market. It could be actual like shortages, like of people not being able to put stuff on the table, not being able to provide food, that type of gig. But anyways, at that time we had the Academy Awards memorializing things. We're just coming out of we're in this in between of World War I and World War II, so we're like memorializing things at this time. We're getting the talkies coming out huge. The Geneva Convention happened at this time. The Museum of Modern Art opened in New York. Gandhi did his big 200-mile march. Pluto was discovered, which I think is crazy, astrological. The Motion Picture Code was established, which was basically censoring stuff up until this day, basically. So then going back to the 1910s, the Great Fire of 1910, the Northwest got basically burned down. Japan was annexing Korea. There was a treaty there. Neon lighting was discovered. Superconductivity was discovered. Huge Standard Oil antitrust. There was a big monopoly company busting up happening at this time, which I think is a big thing that's going to be coming up in this upcoming time. Antitrust companies being too big, all that kind of thing. The New York Public Library was established. Titanic launched the hull. Machu Picchu was rediscovered, and Ishi, the last known like North American indigenous person to like kind of be discovered, happened in the 1011 era. So anyways, there's lots of moving forwards, but I think there's also this like conservatism that happens, and I think there's this big thing about borders and possession. Like, this stuff is mine. Oh, it's mine. That's mine. That's mine. And we want to take the craziness. Like, everybody's so tired. I think like this will be kind of dealing with COVID stuff too. Is like, we're so tired of all this different information. We're so tired of all this stuff. We want concrete this. We want concrete that. We want da 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 da. So this time period of North Node and Taurus is we're trying to like solidify things. We're trying to make things less shaky, less up in the air. You know what I mean? We're going from less talk, more doing. So let's hope all that progresses. Yeah. North Node and Taurus, but